You know, growing up, I was not a naturally athletic person. I didn't even really like exercising at first, but I knew I had to get fit because I was super fat and I didn't like that. And one of the main drivers of my decision to get into the gym and get fit was through watching anime, because when I watched stuff like Black Clover and seeing Asta do pull-ups on trees and One Punch Man seeing Saitama go from like this random salary man and then now he's one-shotting things with a punch, I was like, wow, I want to be able to do that. I mean, obviously it's a little bit unrealistic, but like have a good physique, that's more realistic. And I asked myself like if that was possible, and after some minutes of thinking, I was just like, you know what, let's just give it a shot, man. Not overthink things, just start doing things. So I'm starting the series, My Road to Becoming an Anime Character. And the reason for that is because I want to document my journey to maximize my level of fitness so that I can be like the anime characters that I watch and not just sit around staring at a computer screen watching them. And like I said, I'm not doing this as like a prodigy athlete or something. I just want to test the limits of my body and see how far I can go in terms of fitness. And I also want to inspire people who enjoy anime like me, but don't think that they can get into fitness or don't think that they'll ever be fit. So how am I going about this? Well, I want to structure my training like a training arc. So you know how in animes that the main character goes on a training arc and then he locks himself in like the mountains or something for a couple of months and he comes back looking insanely jacked and then he has like all these new powers. This basically is what 2026 is going to be for me. This year is going to be my training arc and I'm going to do everything that I can to max out my fitness. And my first feat that I'm trying to go for is running a marathon. And the reason I chose a marathon is because it's really just a test of consistency and mindset. And I've said this a lot in the past, but running is more mental than physical, because I mean training is easy, but showing up consistently every day to push through long hard miles, that is absolutely not easy. And that takes more mental willpower and discipline than physical strength. So let's get into what I've done from a marathon. Okay, so the first part of my training arc, my progress was really smooth going up to about like 6, 8, 10 miles, but I realized that I had to adjust my nutrition because I wasn't used to running super long distances. So I realized that I had to add more carbs into my diet so that my body actually had fuel to keep going. And what I did was I increased the carbs I ate before my run, and I also got food like gels to eat during my run so that I wouldn't gas out so quickly. And then immediately after, I noticed a lot of change and improvements because I wasn't super tired by the time I got to the end of my run. Now here's the thing though, longer distances around the 13, 14, 15 mile mark where the half marathon distance is, things started to happen, okay? So I started having problems with my ankles and my knees and my hips hurting a lot after my runs. And it wasn't just like fatigue, it was like excessive pain. So I decided, you know what, I need to take a second step back and see what's going on. So I decided to start conditioning for my ankles and my hips so that I could avoid this pain during actual race day where the pain would actually matter a lot more, because cardio exhaustion is pretty easy. I mean, you just stop, run slower, walk a little bit, right? But physical pain, you can't just fix in that moment. So I'm just stuck with it if my ankles are clapped. So because of this setback, my current focus is now conditioning my hips and ankles to become stronger, because my cardio at the 13, 14, 15 mile mark is honestly fine, which surprises me because I think cardio is usually like the main setback for a lot of people. But for me, it's my joint strength and my muscle strength. So I'm going to be increasing the amount of carbs I eat to make my muscles less tired. And I'm also going to focus more on conditioning and strength training so that my tendons don't get injured during the run. And here's what I learned with that. Training isn't a linear progress, right? It's got ups and downs. And then you have to be prepared whenever the downs come to stick through it so you can get to the up. And problems show at different levels when you increase your training volume. So the first part, it was more about, can I get used to this training? But now it's, how do I get past this ankle pain, right? And there are different problems to different levels. And what this means is that I have to adapt to whatever problems come up. I gotta be like Maharaga with the wheel. Every wheel turn, I gotta change something so that I can improve later whenever I try to solve these problems. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because I want to show that the training isn't smooth, it's not easy, and it's oftentimes really, really tough, and it's not glamorous at all. And I want to normalize facing these problems and looking for a bunch of different ways to overcome them and just using as much force as I can to push through and try to solve them. And hopefully this encourages you whenever you feel behind to just take a second, step back, and figure out what to do for your problems, and then just try different methods. If one doesn't work, then you try again and you try again until something works. So this is just the start of my training arc. I'll focus on endurance first and I'll look for more goals later. And to be clear, this is not just like a quick transformation. This is going to be very, very long term. I want to build up everything properly, starting with my foundations of endurance and then move up. My next goal will probably be more strength focused, and I'm just going to try to be the best version of myself.